r/AskReddit. What would you say is the one thing you can't forgive a person for? My wife's family taking my distress at losing my wife at age 39 as weakness and trying to take advantage to get whatever they could. Nope, can't forgive that one. I had a hysterectomy at the ripe age of 32 and never had a chance to have children with my husband. My sister is an alcoholic and she gets very mean when she's drunk. She was upset with me one evening and she was leaving me a message after message because I wouldn't pick up. I listened to one. I probably shouldn't have. She said, "You will never know what it's like to have children. You wouldn't have been a good mom." Pretty much saying I deserve it. She's 48 and knows better, but I don't think I can forgive her. She's gone too far. But she's in rehab now for the 10th time. My mother dated this piece of crap guy. He acted nice at first, but then turned into a complete jerk. This was an on-again, off-again relationship. He would hit me and abuse me when my mom wasn't around, and even when she was, she still let him hit me. I was scared for my life one time when they were fighting. I had to grab a belt and whack him across his back in order to get him off of her. He chased me up the stairs and threatened to snap my neck. This was back when I was 9. The worst part is despite all the terrible things he did to my sister and me, my mom still had a child with the man. He doesn't pay child support and he barely has a place of his own. He still lives in an apartment in his 50s. He wanted to go to the NBA, but he was too stupid and stubborn to finish college. He blames his behavior on his upbringing, and his dad treated him the same. I'm not his son. He was never married to my mom. I have no reason to contact him, even if he is the dad of my little sister. Visitation between him and my sister is limited because I was living in the house. I don't feel sad nor guilty for having that power over their relationship. It's not my sister's fault that she's in this world, but I hope she knows her dad is a piece of crap. I hope she does one day so I can spit on his grave. The father of my child cheated on me with my mom. They're now living together as a couple. I can never forgive them. Both my parents were physically and emotionally abusive. It never deterred me from having children because I knew I could do better. And I did. It was hard at times. I occasionally had to sit on my hands to keep from hitting them until I could calm down. My kids are in their 20s now and we get along great. They're all successful in their chosen fields, and I'm a new grandma. My point is that it can be done. It just takes a lot of effort. I respect that you don't want to have children, but I want you to believe in yourself that you can break the chain. Wow, thank you. I wonder if my mother ever thought that way. She's never hit us, and even when she tried, it was so weak that I could feel her guilt. My mother would have to stop my dad from beating us on multiple occasions. I know they're good people who chose the wrong actions and words, so I don't resent them as much as I did when I was a teenager. I don't know the story here, but what are we if not our actions? Sometimes I try to do my parents justice. I'm not sure, honestly. I know what they did is bad, but I think holding on to that anger is worse. Well, if you know me, then it's not surprising. I can't forgive drunk driving. I moved to the US around 5 years ago from Ireland. 2 years after I did, I was in a car with my family when we were hit by a drunk driver. In the crash, everyone in my family thankfully wasn't hurt except me. Due to shrapnel as well as inhalation of toxic fumes, I now am covered in scars and can no longer speak at all other than small squeaks because of one person who decided to drive after drinking. It changed my life and the lives of my family forever. Don't drink and drive, people. Not just for your own safety, but for the safety of everyone else. My first relationship was ended by a mutual friend who talked behind my back. She managed to convince my boyfriend that I was a jerk for studying instead of partying with him. I wanted to give us financial stability so he could pursue his art career. After we broke up, she tried to form a relationship with him and failed miserably. I still talk to my ex, and we got our friendship back. What she destroyed, though, will never be the same. For as long as I remember, She's the one person that I never managed to forgive. Using a person's kindness for their own gain. Like that unique presenter that went on Facebook Live with a lady claiming she needed money to pay for headstones for like 6 terminally ill wards of the state, but refuses to answer any questions about the kids. Also, she brought them McDonald's breakfasts every morning because the hospital wasn't feeding them. Oh, and she was appalled that the kids were wearing hand-me-downs that the hospital was only changing every 3 days, so she needed money to buy them new clothing, because terminally ill cancer patients would definitely not be in hospital gowns. I'm fairly positive these women preyed on the people's kindness and took all of their money. MLM person scamming people for donations while they're already basically scamming people with their own business. Mine is more specific. I've never hated someone more in my life, and I haven't forgiven them. I want them dead. My no longer best friend, 21 female, was sleeping with her professor, 40-year-old male, married, who emotionally manipulated her into the relationship. He stalked her, said nice things to her, messaged her online, brought her clothes to have sex in, told her he was aroused by her when she was in class, and it made his day. All this gross power play stuff. One day my former friend and I booked tickets to Japan to go together, but apparently the professor booked tickets too, so he could spend some more time with her away from prying eyes. The school administration had a word with them, but allowed it in spite of the obvious abuse of authority. I found out my friend told her parents that she was just going with me when it was really the 3 of us, so she should go spend time with the people she cared about. I bailed. I cried. I was suddenly just a tool to make their relationship work. I can't imagine how forgiving my parents were when I said I was forfeiting a flight that cost so much money, of their money, because it was a gift to me. The professor messaged me. I made my life difficult for him. What was going to be their excuse for the flight now? Or staying married to the piece of garbage who sexually abused your own daughter. Looking at you, sis. That's sick. Is the guy in prison at least? How's the child doing? God, I wish. This was years ago, and as I recall, he got 6 months in jail for child porn because Idaho is absurdly soft on pedos. My niece, well, she's in her mid-20s, has 2 kids from different dads, has been to rehab, and is just starting to go back to school and get her life together. She had a rough childhood all around, and it definitely had an effect on her adulthood. But she's doing much better now. She's incredibly resilient, and I'm so proud of her. Yesterday, someone took a swing at my puppy with a skateboard because he was trying to show him his ball. My dog dodged, and it looked like his world collapsed. He couldn't grasp the fact that a human would try to hurt him. That's horrible, poor thing. You killed the guy, right? When I was 10 or 11, my then best friend at Scouts told me her big stepbrother was abusing her badly. She then quit Scouts immediately after to do a self-defense sport. I never saw her again. I never told anyone she confided me in this until years later. I was still at that same Scout group, and a few of us were going through old pics of the Scout team from the past. The topic of my friend came up, and oh, I remember her. Wonder why she left. And someone said, I heard her stepbrother is in court right now for abusing young girls. Everyone was surprised but me. When I told them I had known since I was 11, they asked why I hadn't reported it. Honestly, I was 11 when she told me. She told me not to tell anyone. I never saw her again. I assumed that important adults already knew and were dealing with it. I assumed she'd told someone other than just me. I was wrong. Apparently, I was the only one she ever told until she turned 17. And she and 2 other girls reported her stepbrother to the cops. I had forgotten all about it until it was brought up. I felt badly for a while after finding out what I could have done, and that I was the only one who knew all this time. But I no longer blame myself. I was 11. What could I have done? Val and I were outcast together at Scouts. We bonded like sisters almost since we were 7. She cried the day she left when she told me, and I never saw her again. I still have never seen her since, but I kept an eye on the case after I found out about it, and it looks like she and the other 2 girls won it easily, and her stepbrother is in jail, and her stepfather was also charged with something. Not sure what, but I don't think I want to know. I heard from a family member of hers, though, and the family member, who had no clue Val had confided in me so long ago, told me that no one had any clue at all. Val never told anyone for years. I was really sad that if I had maybe just told one adult, she could have gotten help and gotten justice sooner. That was really hard for me to come to grips with, how the abuse continued for years afterwards because I kept silent. I nowadays try to wipe those thoughts from my mind because, like you said, I was 11. I knew bad things happened to her, but I also knew that she told me not to tell anyone. And at that age, I assumed some adults were already knowing and all good, so someone had to be helping her, right? I just hope my friend has a better life now and that her stepbrother rots in jail. I'm still a scout leader at that same group. I keep a close eye on all the kids there. Sadly, we lately had a girl who signed up to the all-girls group who, at age 6, was already removed from her family and is now in a foster home. Her amazing foster parents signed her up. I've written about this girl before because her case hit me in the heart like nothing before. She was in the all-girls group with only female leaders because she can't be left alone with men. Not because the girl will freak out, not because the girl will accuse the men falsely, but because she was so badly groomed and trained that whenever she's alone with a male, she expects sexual acts. She starts giving kisses and undressing herself the moment she's left alone with a man, just to get it over with, just to beat the man to the punch. She expects sex. Not her fault, obviously. That's something she has to deal with at age 6. When I found out about that girl, my heart just broke. She's too young to tie her laces or spell her name correctly, but things have been done to her I wouldn't wish on my worst enemies. I'm so glad that the girl is safe now and that her lovely foster parents let her come out to group to socialize with other children and other girls in a healthy way, and I hope whatever monster, probably her father though, I'm not sure, rots in prison and then in hell. I hope my friend Val is recovered and that her stepbrother rots in jail and then in hell. I hope this never happens to another child, though sadly that wish will not come true, I know. I'm not normally the kind of person to wish rape on anyone else, but I sure hope these men who hurt their children like that drop the soap in prison. My stepmom cheating on my dad. He's such a good guy and has done so much for her, including adopting her son from a previous marriage, and she destroyed him. My stepmother cheated on my dad too. They agreed to go to therapy, but she continued cheating. Then she kicked him out of their house because she was tired of paying for hotels to be with her boyfriend. A few years later, while they were separated but not yet divorced, my dad got really sick. He was in the hospital in a coma, and the evil stepmother opened up a bunch of credit cards in my dad's name and ran up over $50,000 in charge. She's a monster. I haven't talked to her since my father's funeral. I'll never forgive her for the way she treated him. Thanks for watching, guys. I know this one might have been a little bit depressing, but I hope you at least enjoyed listening to the stories because they were fairly interesting. If you enjoy this type of content, like and subscribe. I'm also looking into doing a few other different types of Reddit content, maybe news and politics and that kind of thing, and just talking about it with some sort of face cam. So the visuals are a little bit more interesting. See you guys soon.